Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of Auro, a monster weapon adventure, with your host, Major Shiznik. So, I got some feedback on previous episodes, and it looks like I need to cover the basics of the game some more. I just sort of dove in, just started playing and talking, and got super excited, and forgot that the whole point of this series is to appeal to new people, to people who maybe heard of this game but don't know anything about it, who maybe have been reluctant to pay for a game that they don't know anything about. So I'm going to fix that. I'll dwell on the basics a little bit more, play a little slower, explain some things that happen, talk about some of the worldview and philosophy things that went into this game, and hopefully will make it a better new viewer experience. Alright, so let's just jump into play mode. Alright, rank 8, which means I have a score goal of 70. I'll talk more about that shortly. But let's talk about the screen a little bit. So this is this bar up here. I'm making hand gestures, but of course you can't see my hands. So this bar up here is my progress bar. Now you might see progress bar and think, oh, bad, that's terrible, you know, that's grindy garbage stuff. Well, no, that's not how it works in Auro. See, in Auro kind of accepts that, you know, you're not always, that it can't just have one difficulty for everybody, that the game system just doesn't really support that without massive overhauls to everything. So what it instead does is there are 4 levels of difficulty. There's easy, normal, hard, and master. And within each one, it's split up into a couple different ranks, which have different score goals. And then as you win, your progress bar fills up, and if you win a lot, then the game decides that you're pretty good and you should probably be playing on a higher difficulty. If you lose a lot, the game says, okay, well maybe you need a slightly lower difficulty. And the whole point is to find a difficulty that's going to foster the most interesting gameplay experience for you at the skill level that you are right now. And you can actually take a placement test to determine where you end up. You know what? Let's not do the placement test. For me, since I'm pretty good, you know, pretty good, the placement test is actually kind of long. So maybe we don't need to show you that. So I'll just jump into play mode. If you're a new player, by the way, the placement test is quick and fine. Don't let my comment about that scare you. So what's the premise of Auro? Well, in the lore of Auro, which you can read up on if you're so inclined, you, the Golden Prince Auro, turn 12 years old and you have to go on a quest. You're sent down into the sewers, and along the way you accidentally awaken the ghost of the evil Prince Argo, who had been sealed in the dungeons below. But he's back, and he's here to threaten the castle and break all your toys, which is just totally not cool. So you gotta stop him. And the way you stop him is you score a bunch of points. Well, you think, well, that's kind of weird. And what's this brashness bar thing? Well, the brashness bar is how aggressive he is, basically. And as you kill monsters, his brashness decreases, he becomes intimidated, and when it reaches 0, the idea is he runs off. He doesn't want to mess with your serious business. So, there's this other meter here, which I'll get into a little bit. You've heard me reference this as the combo meter or bonus meter in the past. So, Auro draws some inspiration on sort of a very basic level from roguelike games like, say, Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup or, you know, Brogue or something like that. But it's a pretty different beast. As you can tell, it doesn't really look anything like any of those games. And, for instance, there's no leveling mechanic in the game, just in the metagame, in terms of figuring out what your target difficulty should be. There's nothing like a, you know, there's no experience system in the game. That was kind of weird, that's not really what I intended, but it'll turn out great. You just have your spells, you have your basic bump attack, which, by the way, does no damage. And you just kind of go around, bump monsters into the water, easier said than done. And try to score a bunch of points. Not only score a bunch of points, but score them efficiently. That's where this combo meter comes in. See, every time you take a step, your combo meter drains. The number in the middle tells you how many points your next kill is going to be worth. If it's a big number, you get lots of points. If it's a small number, you don't get lots of points. And in a lot of ways, it has some similar gameplay ramifications as, say, hunger in roguelikes. In roguelikes, hunger or similar type of mechanic usually limits the player's ability to sort of dally around and play super conservatively. And in Auro, the combo meter is intended to do the same thing. It's intended to make you keep pushing forward, to not, waste time, and to really try and play at the peak of your abilities at all times. So, Auro has 7 health. It's themed as Barrier. The idea is Auro's mentor gives him a magical shield when he goes down into the dungeon to protect him from the baddies. And you restore 1 barrier at the end of every floor. So the idea is you're supposed to treat your HP as a consumable resource. You're not supposed to save HP and stock it up because you can only ever have 7. And the game is also balanced such that if you play to always conserve HP, you'll typically be missing out on opportunities to score as effectively as possible. Which turns out to be a bad thing. If you go too deep into the dungeon, the monster spawns become totally unfair by intent. And it's all supposed to make you play faster, make you play smarter. So here, I'm going to lay down some flow to make slippery tiles and also freeze these guys, and I'm going to throw a firebomb to kill both at once. That'll jack my combo meter up way to the top level 5, but then it promptly goes back down. That's okay. Let's see, I only need to get 9 points, and it doesn't really matter how I get them. So I can just totally blow some barrier to corner this Foxy. And let's see. How can I best this Troggle down here? Well, I've got 2 jump candies. So I'll just jump down here, lay down some Freezy Flow. So there are 3 types of monsters. There are normal monsters like rats and Curse Kid, there are flying monsters like bats and liches, and there are heavy monsters like Troggles and Brutes. And the interesting thing about heavy monsters is that you can't bump them with your basic bump attack. They're just too heavy. But if you lay down some ice, you can push them. Alright, and then I'll just finish off this Curse Kid with a firebomb, and that'll be the game. Really nice. I think I played pretty well, honestly. Kept my combo meter high. Didn't take many hits. Just really, overall, very slick and smooth. Alright. And you'll see there actually win streak bonus. So if you win multiple games in a row, the game sort of goes, okay, this guy probably knows what he's doing. Let's accelerate him forward so that he doesn't waste time on a difficulty that's not appropriate for him. And if you think for some reason that you're really on the wrong difficulty, you can always retake the placement test. Alright. Let's do a second game. Alright, once again, 70 points. Oh, I like this song. We've got Snowball, Gale, Rotisserie, Firebomb, and a Firebomb Candy. Alright, I like having fire spells like Rotisserie and Firebomb because they create flames on the map, and flames let you do some kind of... Flames and also vortices to an extent let you do some pretty crazy off-the-wall stuff sometimes. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a snowball at this rat just so I can approach him and safely dunk. So, like I said in a previous game, if you dunk 2 monsters into the same tile in a row, it spawns a squid, and squids bounce monsters back out of them and they can hit you as you walk by. So generally, spawning squids on the edges can be okay, but you don't want to spawn them in the middle of the map. It can really muck up your movement options. So if I hadn't just killed the rat there, I would totally just move back to this space, slime would move in here, and then I'd just dunk it. But it's not going to work out that great, because I don't want to make a squid. This is also kind of icky because I don't want to move down here because this slime will bounce me into the water. Slimes don't damage you directly, sort of like how Auro can't damage things directly, but they will bump you. And if you get bumped into the water, you take a hit and go back to the beginning of the level. So what I'm going to do is this. Just blow my ultimate spell without a really good reason, honestly, and just take the long way around. Looks like a pretty poor play, but I think I'll get away with it. I'm gonna freeze this bat. Anything in proximity of your snowball target also gets frozen for 1 turn, so I have to spend a turn to unfreeze. Then I'll just walk around and take him. Real basic. Let's see, snipe off this Foxy, otherwise she'll be a thorn in my side. And now tricksters will swap places with you. If you played 100 Rogues, which is another Dino Farm game, you can sort of think of them like the gypsies, except they don't throw fireballs at you. Or gypsies or mystics. I hope they didn't call them gypsies, because that's a little bit actually racist. So hopefully they called them something more tasteful like mystics. So now brutes also, you might think they damage you when you walk into them, but it turned out that really the key thing about brutes is that they're supposed to throw you. And it turned out that if they do damage to you, nobody wanted to get thrown by a brute. So it was changed that their attack no longer does damage, that it just tosses you. I mean, I didn't show it off there, but you know, that is what brutes do. Alright, let's just take care of that rat like that. And I haven't been taking any hits, which is kind of a red flag for me. That often means that I am missing opportunities to craft combos, to set up good plays. And you can see that as a result of my conservative play on the previous floor, my combo meter is down to 1, which is not really where I want it to be. Alright, but I'll get it back up here. I'm going to cast Gale. Gale, everything in this 2-tile radius. Remember, when you have hexagonal geometry, a circle is a hexagon, so everything in a 2-tile hexagon of me gets pushed in one direction and trails a vortex under it. So what I'm going to cast it northeast. It'll dunk that Foxy, flatten this slime. This is Charles, he's a special slime. We might talk about him later. But most importantly, it brings this lich within kill distance of me, which is pretty good if I do say so myself. Alright, so Charles is a special slime. Charles, when you bump him, he doesn't flatten. When he pushes you 2 tiles. So he can kind of be dangerous. I'm going to get him off the map right now. Charles the Slime was pronounced dead. In the most recent version, I presume Keith is the one who did this, added a bunch of flavorful death messages that are kind of macabre. Well, that was a misclick. That's not really where I wanted to land. I wanted to land right here so that I could then push the Troggle out of this vortex and into the water. But that didn't happen. It's okay, I can cast Rotisserie to get the same general effect. Rotisserie, as you might imagine, rotates monsters. Alright. Oh, this would be nice. I will cast Firebomb to snipe this rat. Push the trickster off. That's what I want to do. It's not really that. I'm not questioning what my original plan was. That was not it. But I'm doing fine regardless. I think I'm actually playing a little bit below rank because I lost a bunch just from like starting games and then resetting because of recording errors, and so I think my rank is maybe artificially low, but it's okay. What to do about this brute? A couple things I can do. I can cast Gale, but blowing my ultimate skill for a single monster is pretty bad efficiency points. So here's what I'll do instead. Back up one tile, freeze him with a snowball, dance around, and snowball creates a flow underneath them. I'm just pushing them into the water. Good stuff. Okay, Lich is woken up. I'm just gonna take a hit from him. I don't see a way around it. It's not a big deal. Got lots of barrier to spare, and what I want to do is just bring some monsters in closer. Yeah, just make it a party. And let's see how to do this. Let's throw everybody west. And then firebomb like so the Foxy will bounce off the Lich's head. So the Lich is now awake, just in time for me to murder it. Took a hit from that Licorice Bat, but whatever. Licorice monsters don't count for points. They are spawned by a guy called Lord Vargas, who's actually not appearing in any of the levels that I've played so far today. Which actually tells me that maybe I actually have been demoted down a full difficulty level, that I was at one of the thresholds between like hard and normal difficulty. A little poem. You'll pick up notes randomly, and notes are basically just like flavor text. Sometimes they're little like not tutorial things, but like little helpful rules reminders, like especially for things that like a normal player wouldn't encounter on their own typically. Things like the fact that monsters have deterministic movement if they're close, and it's not random. So, oh, I should say, I'm on floor 4 now, which means there are a bunch more monsters. This is why the combo meter acts as a sort of soft timer, because if you don't meet your score goal by the time you get to floor 4, the game cranks up the difficulty, makes it really unfair. And so if you have to if you still have a large chunk of your score goal to make when you get down here, you are in pretty deep doo-doo. I don't think I'm in pretty deep doo-doo, because I think I should be able to pull this off, but look at all these squids. All these squids are making it tough for me to actually kill anything. There's also this Yeti here. Not really psyched about this setup. Maybe do that? Oof. Here's what I'll do. I'll take 2 damage doing this, but it's okay. So I'm gonna firebomb to get this cursed in position. I'll bump him. The bat will hit me, and this Yeti will suplex me. So I'll take 2 damage, but I'll be thrown forward. Alright. And now this brute is inside my kill zone for Gale. So I can just cast Gale, I'll meet my score goal, and all will be great. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope my explanations were a little bit more on point this time. I hope that if you're new to the game, that you learned something from watching this, that maybe I was able to show you why it's cool, and why you should keep watching the series, and why you should buy this game. It's It's really great. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.